Yes, you guys, and thank you for watching another video of mine. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue9's TV, and for today's video, I'll be breaking down and discussing the top 5 players to watch out for this year's preseason. I'm doing this because there's so many ifs and buts, so many theories in regards to who the team might be, what formation Lampard might use, and how we're going to start the season. However, before I get into that, today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app, and honestly you guys, now that preseason is here in 2 more days, the OneFootball app is the best companion app to have to get access to all the latest stats, figures and information coming from the team for this year's preseason. The app really is useful, and if you want to help me, and most importantly help yourself, you'll find the app in the link in the description below. Now, starting with number 5, that's going to be Sammy Abraham. Now, Tammy's come off another successful season, becoming Aston Villa's top goal scorer, and for me, Sammy Abraham is ready. Now, Tammy is a warrior, and he does make me reminisce about his debut. I remember his debut very vividly. He came on, was shouting for passes, showing determination, and most importantly, he was playing with that intense focus. Now, one thing I really want to stress today is Tammy's mentality. And when you're a striker, the most important thing is going to be mentality. There's a reason why Tammy's consistently banging in the goals. He knows he's going to score, and most importantly, he knows what he needs to do to get in those positions to get those goals. Now, this is where his mentality really comes into place. Even when Tammy misses a goal, that's not affecting his confidence. Instead, that's only acting as a motivating factor. It helps drive him, and it gives him that confidence to make sure when the next opportunity comes, that's definitely getting buried in the back of the net. And I really feel like we have missed this mentality with our strikers. The last time we saw something this ruthless came from Diego Costa. Now for next season, Tammy has Giroud and Batshuayi for competition, so he will be taking preseason very seriously. However, what could really profit him is the fact that he's played under a lot of these guys during the academy days. He's played with guys like Christensen, Ruben, Mason Mount, Hudson-Odoi, Reece, etc. And that's always very fundamental for a striker. One thing I constantly say is that strikers need to complement the team and system they're playing in, and Tammy just does this perfectly. When this fact is in place, not only does it help the striker, but most importantly, it gives confidence to the rest of his teammates because they know that if they find him, he's gonna score. It also tells them that they know where to find Tammy in the first place. Another reason why you need to follow Sammy Abraham this preseason is the fact that, low-key, he's very technical. Now, back during his youth team days where he scored 40 goals alongside Solanke, Abraham was mostly playing out wide on the right, but as he grew up, he got older and he grew, he got taller, and when those factors happen, Tammy's game was developed alongside his new growth. And due to that, Tammy learned how to hold up the ball, he learned how to bring other players in, and he knew how to become a target option when he needs to. However, Tammy hasn't developed as much technically in that sense because he's played for teams that don't really need that from their strikers. Instead, he's played for teams where he needs to become that focal point. And that's really helped him because that's helped develop his overall game. And when you consider this guy's in his early 20s, by the time he's 24, 25, who knows what he's going to be. And for me, this is why you need to follow Sammy Abraham for this preseason, because I really feel like he can make the first team spot his very own. Now, moving on to number 4, and that's none other than King Zouma. And yeah, I am going to say king, because for me, Zouma's always been a king. He's been unfortunate, but one thing I rate about this guy is his application and that desire to play for us. Now, I'll touch upon this point later on, but with Zouma last season, he was a low-key success with Everton, and yeah, I need to say low-key because for some reason, no one ever talks about Kurt Zouma. And this is why you need to follow Kurt Zouma this preseason, because now he's trying to make a name for himself, now he's trying to become a first-team defender. With Rudiger being out, Luis getting older, and accepting that he might be slowly phased out from the first team, as well as a younger Christensen in the team, Zouma has the perfect opportunity to make a position his own, and pre-season's the best start to make this happen. Now when it comes to looking at Kurt Zouma, I'd say pay attention to his passing range and his technical ability, because for some baffling reason, one baffling reason I'll never understand and I'll never accept, is that some people still seem to think that Kurt Zouma doesn't have any techers. And that's the most craziest thing I can ever imagine. And my rebuttal to those opinions is that Zouma weighs more than 200 pounds. He's a big stocky guy. He's very dense. So there's no way you can expect him to play like Messi on the ball when the guy weighs like 2 Messis. Zouma knows how to make those positive passes. He's not the type of defender that constantly makes passes backwards, that slows down the game, that stops attacking opportunities. Zouma at Everton really improved his craft, and due to that, he was playing mostly on the left-hand side, where he improved his passing game, and he became very important for Everton when it came to starting attacks. And in case you need another reason why you need to watch Kurt Zouma, well, it's simple. We're bringing back a defensive king. Zouma's like Michael Jordan when he's in the air, the way he leaps, the way he hovers off the ground. I've always said this. With him and Van Dijk, they're the 2 best aerial defenders in the league, and recently over the past few seasons, we really aren't as dominant as we used to be aerially. Zouma's world-class last-ditch tackles are another amazing factor to see. The guy is so elegant when he wins a tackle. And I love those type of defenders that don't look to hurt the opposition when they win the ball. That's one thing that Rudiger does sometimes, and for me, it's not really my style of defender. But with Kurt Zouma, that elegance at winning the ball, those slide tackles, the way he uses his body, how quickly he wins the ball back as well. This guy has a massive opportunity to make a first team spot his very own. And I want to end things now by really talking about Kurt Zouma's mentality. And mentality is one thing I'll be stressing about quite a lot in today's video. Zouma has always wanted to make his name playing for this club, even when there were so many doubts in regards to his abilities since he sustained that knee injury, and I really feel like the club didn't support him as much as they should have. And this is where Kurt Zouma needs to get a lot of credit for having that mental strength to always keep believing on winning back a spot in the team, keeping his dream alive, and never giving up. Now, I do want to wrap up this point by talking about mentality. And I talk about mentality because when you consider how long, draining, and tiring seasons can be, most times you need to rely on your mental strength to get you through when your body can't. And this mental desire in particular is what's really exciting me for next season. So many players have fought to get the opportunity to play for us. So many players have had the dream of making it with us. And this season in particular, it looks like those opportunities are most definitely coming. And when you have players that feed off that desire, that want to make it, that want to play for us, that's going to give us that mental edge over other teams. And this is why I feel Kurt Zouma is a prime example of this. Now moving on to number 3, and that's going to be none other than Mason Mount. Now, there have been some doubts from the fan base in regards to Mount's abilities, but Mason Mount really is the real deal. Now, during the academy days, he used to start off by playing out wide and in cam positions, until Lampard started to use him deeper in a more central midfield role. And since then, Mason Mount's bulked up, he's got stronger, and he's really excelled at playing in a more box-to-box role. Now, what separates Mason Mount is that he's very press resistant, he's very comfortable playing between the lines and in the spaces, and in that sense he's like a midfield player that has the characteristics of a central attacking midfield player. Mason Mount, he's a very inventive player, inventive with his passes, inventive in creating opportunities for himself and for his teammates, and he's one of those guys that's very positive with the ball. And because of this, for guys that don't really understand Mason Mount or haven't seen him play, I'd say that he's stylistically similar to Kevin De Bruyne. Now, Mason Mount's been scoring 2 digits in 2 different seasons with 2 different clubs in 2 different countries. Now, he may have regretted not joining Ajax in hindsight, but the fact that they made such strong efforts to sign him on loan speaks volumes of the abilities of Mason Mount. Now, with the confidence of working under Frank Lampard previously, with Ruben being out, as well as Barkley and Kovac showing that they aren't really natural number 8s, Mason Mount really has the opportunity to make a name for himself in this position. With the confidence of working under Frank Lampard previously, as well as Lampard having real belief in his abilities, Mason Mount really is one of the players to watch out for this pre-season. Moving on to number 2, and it's none other than our American boy wonder, Christian Pulisic. Christian's just won the Young Player of the Tournament for this year's Gold Cup. Now he's ready to return back to us and start his pre-season. With Hudson-Odoi being out, as well as having competition from Willian and Pedro, who are both in decline, Pulisic now wants to take this opportunity and impress Frank Lampard. Now, a good question is, where exactly might Christian play? With Callum being out, could Lampard consider using him down the left-hand side? Maybe Lampard could be thinking, I'd rather have Pulisic down the left compared to Willian. However, could Christian also be used behind a striker or alongside a striker? Or will he start playing down the right-hand side and make that position his very own? The great thing about Pulisic is that he's a player that's very mobile, he's adaptable, he plays in multiple positions, and he is quite similar to how this club produces its young players. Christian's going to be very hungry when he returns. This is an amazing opportunity to impress not only the manager, but also the fans. You have to realise, we've been waiting patiently to see Christian play since we signed him in January. Now we've got a taste of seeing him from this year's Gold Cup. We really hope now that Pulisic is going to come and get things started. Now, what other reasons do you need to know to make sure that you're watching Christian Pulisic this pre-season? Well, one thing that's very, very clear is the guy's dribbling ability. That's one of his best characteristics in his game. He's so effortless, he runs with the ball at very fast speeds, and the ball's always glued to his foot. And we mostly saw this skill against Jamaica in the semi-finals, but on top of that, Christian's got elite mentality, he works very hard, he follows the manager's instructions, and I really feel as if he's the type of player that's going to get along with a lot of the guys currently at the club. Now, Christian isn't the finished article, but for me, that's not really the point. He doesn't need to be that finished article this season. The guy's in his early 20s, he's 20 years old. Wait for him to become 24, 25 before people start really viewing the player very critically. For me, Christian Pulisic comes at number 2. Now moving on to the final player that you need to watch out for this year's pre-season, and it's none other than Jorginho. Now, so many questions are currently surrounding the player. Where's he going to play? If he does play, what formation might we use? Is Lampard going to use him at the base of midfield? Or will Lampard turn to Kante instead? Now, hopefully, pre-season's finally going to give us those answers. Now, here's my take on the situation. Lampard spoke previously about being a manager that adapts. Our squad currently is very tailored for a possession style of football. Now, could Lampard adopt a more familiar style that the players played under Sarri? Well, this could make sense when you realise that there's so many injuries to key players. This could mean that Lampard may have to gradually build the team in his image. If so, then maybe it makes more sense to start with what the players know and then build from there. For me, I do see Jorginho continuing playing in the base of midfield. I think Lampard is really going to appreciate him because we know that with Lampard's systems and tactics, he really likes to play out from the back. When Frank used to play as a box-to-box midfield player, Mikel would play a very similar role to Jorginho, and I really feel that because Lampard is a manager that likes his teams to get goals from midfield, due to how he used to get goals from midfield, this is why Regis really helped to profit box-to-box midfield players. Now, Regis help in this sense because now Regis do profit box-to-box midfield players more, as it allows them to run from their positions, attack the spaces, break the lines, as well as the fact that Regis are able to find box-to-box midfield players more consistently. And that's due to the fact that box-to-box midfield players tend to be in positions where they're looking to receive the ball, make a half turn, and hopefully start an attack or get inside the box. Now, Jorginho comes as the number 1 player to really pay attention to for this preseason, as he could really determine who plays, how the team sets up, and even possibly what the formation might be. And on that note, you guys, I'm going to keep things moving. Thank you for watching. In the comment section below, give me your top 5 players that you feel every fan needs to pay attention to. I'm Nyom FC, this is Blue Lions TV, signing out.